The city of Chicago is known to travelers for its diverse cuisine, culture, and communities. But those of us who call it home know there's a whole world outside the city limits. With nearly 10 million residents across 8 counties, the country's third largest metro area is full of great places to live, eat, work, and play. As a real estate agent serving the suburbs, I have the privilege every day to get to know the people and places that make this Sweet Home Chicagoland. Hey, welcome to Sweet Home Chicagoland. I'm Chris Grano. This is the podcast where we focus on the people and the places that make Chicagoland and the Chicago suburbs a great place to live. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about today's guest. I love highlighting small business owners. That's one of the big focuses of this podcast. And I'm super excited to introduce to you a small business owner here in the suburbs. This is Bree Wysocki of Beautifully EmpowHEred, an online women's empowerment community. Bree, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. And your intro, it's like spot on. Jeez, love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I want to get into all about the business. But one of the first things I always ask our guests is, tell me about your connection to Chicagoland.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I was born in Memphis, and my father actually worked majority of his career at Sears. And so Sears resided in Hoffman Estates. And so we were brought here real quickly when I was a little itty bitty baby. I grew up in Naperville. So I just adore Chicago. I think it is the best city that there is in the United States, just because, again, we have, smack dab in the middle of the United States, we have a beautiful lake, and nothing beats Chicago in the summer. So grew up in beautiful Naperville, went my way to the great school of the Indiana University, is what I like to say, in Bloomington, Indiana. I lived in Indianapolis for a hot minute, but eventually moved back to Chicago. And I lived in the West Loop for 4 years. And at that pandemic had hit, we couldn't live in an 800 square foot apartment. So we jumped ship and moved back to beautifully Naperville. So yeah, that's my connection to Chicago.
That's awesome. So you've been all around the area. And you're just recently returning to Naperville. So that's really neat. So welcome back to the burbs. That's what podcast is all about. No slight against the city, but
yep, I hear you. It's like the one thing I think the burbs got me was, you moved from a concrete jungle back to the pollen and the allergy season.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the suburbs, Bree. We got hit with the pollen allergy.
Yeah. Oh boy. So that's we're all going through it, especially right now, for sure. So talk to me about Beautifully EmpowHEred. When did you start this business?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this pandemic has really made people stay at home, but we wanted to bring and not only just uplift everyone. I really wanted to focus on women specifically. And I launched Beautifully EmpowHEred just this past February. The community's growing to over 75 women so far, but it really was just about how do we uplift women in a virtual environment. Social media plays a really big role in the how women develop and grow and who they aspire to be. And, I had seen that niche of a community where we were very authentic and real and showing unphotoshopped pictures of women or what women go through, right? And social media is where women were going for information or trying to have outlets since we were stuck at home. So I wanted to create a safe space for women to talk about things that their husband, their partners, their parents, their brothers, their sisters don't want to hear about. And that's where Beautifully EmpowHEred really started.
That's awesome. You mentioned that women and people in general these days go to social media for information so much. I mean, I've heard studies about this recently. I mean, just look at how some of these things have affected our elections, how they have affected information about the pandemic. And so social media is so powerful for good and for bad. And so, I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. And so it sounds like that's part of the drive to where you wanted to create this safe space for women.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? You don't know what to believe anymore. You turn on the news, if you switch to different news stations, right? You get 2 different stories of the same story, right? So it's really understanding and shifting your perception of, well, wow, I learned something this way. Maybe if I learn it this way, I can kind of relate or cope or listen and learn. So that's one thing that just really has shocked me, especially, I know younger women look up to the Kardashians. And I'm not saying I don't like the Kardashians. I give them kudos for what they've done and built an empire? Absolutely. But there was a whole debacle a couple weeks ago about an unphotoshopped picture of Khloe Kardashian and in social media. And I was like, wow, that's a beautiful woman, right? You don't have to elaborate, and everything on social media people think is so perfect. And that's why I really try to be very authentic, is you don't need to all the glitz and the glam to be accepted. You are worthy of what you are. And that's really where the story and the narrative comes from.
I love that message. And actually, it's funny because you and I had connected a couple of weeks ago about doing this podcast, and
Yeah.
it occurred to me that I actually already knew who you were
Same.
because because of social media, because of Instagram. And I think one
Yeah.
of the things that caught my eye about your Instagram profile is your authenticity. And
Mhm.
it is just attractive because you're like, wow, this person's being real and they're
Right.
comfortable with who they are. And that's amazing to me. And
Yeah.
so I love that you're trying to bring that in this community to other women.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, obviously being a real estate agent, right? When you look at listings, right, you see the pictures and you're like, oh, that house is so cool. But when you get in, you're like, oh, well, that's this house, check, right? So
Yep.
it's the same thing about the social media profile. And I don't believe in altering pictures. I mean, yes. I mean, if it starts with yourself, right, and really feeling comfortable in your skin, whether you're male or female. And it's sad that we portray things as like, yeah, if I was a real estate agent, I would love to be one. It's my goal is to become one. But um, you got to go see the house, right? You got to go meet the person. You got to go feel it out. And so, just with my authentic self, I just try to showcase, like, listen, like the good, bad, and the ugly, right? We have these social media influencers, and it's like, you got to follow the ones that are true to themselves and that don't throw on Photoshop to make themselves look glamorous.
Yeah, I love that analogy of the house, and it's true though.
See?
And I'm glad that you mentioned too. I mean, this affects everyone, and I see it. Gosh, I see it in my kids. I have a
Hmm.
4-year-old son, and I see, he tries to live up to what his image of him should be. Either
See?
through his friends or through TV shows or whatever. I mean, we are all really susceptible to these societal pressures,
Hmm.
regardless of our gender or social class or whatever. And
Hmm.
so it's I'm so excited to see people like yourself starting to break through that and say, hey, okay, listen, this is all fun, but we've got to get back to being real, because it's starting to have damage on people. And this is where we're seeing
Hmm.
bullying, being a major thing today. Whereas, so I'm 37 years old. I look back in my childhood, and I think, sure, there were bullies. I was bullied. I probably acted like a bully, but it's so
Hmm.
different now with the pressure of social media adding that on. And I see it when I talk to women. It seems like it's almost worse for women when it
Hmm.
comes to like the bullying and the social media pressure. I mean, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, yeah, I'm turning Scottie Pippen this year, and I went to college. It's a little Chicago term,
I
right?
like that.
33, right?
I
I
got
always
it. I
like to
caught
test
it.
people. People are like, what do you mean you're turning Scottie Pippen? You're like, you're not from Chicago. You don't know 33.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that when we look at like, we didn't have, I remember I was going into college and I had to like be invited to Facebook. And
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
actually so thankful I grew up before the social media days, because it gave me a sense of purpose. And I say that kind of sparingly because you think about, yeah, nowadays, right? I have two beautiful nephews and a beautiful niece, and people will gloat on social media like, these are my kids, or my brothers and sister-in-laws don't do that. And it's not saying it's a gloating issue, but you have people that are struggling with infertility or pregnancy, and then you also have people just struggling all over. And when they look at social media, like, oh, I wish I could have that. And it's like, well, why not change the narrative and say, I'm gonna have that. I have that, right? And we have a roof over your head. And when I say going back to the good old days, it's not saying um, like time is bad right now. It's just like you said, it's the bullying. It's I don't it's a whole new world. And I fear for the future, but I also know that people like yourself and myself will break through those stereotypical norms, right? I don't like what is the word? Like basically taking and saying, wow, like this person is this stereotype or this person, right? I don't like stereotypes. I don't like generalizing. There's the word. Took me a little
Right.
bit. Generalizing people because you don't know what is on the other side of them, right? You don't know when they're going to break. And so I always give people 100% when I meet them. They're going to see me real. They're going to see me for what I am. And if you don't like me, that's okay. Not everyone's going to like everyone. So it's just, it's going back to being that positive self and just really believing in yourself first, loving what you have around you, and then having the ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And everything you talked about has to do with confidence. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the older I get, the more I learn about myself, the more I learn about, my business and about my, just how life works. I
Yeah.
realize that so much of success in life, and it doesn't necessarily mean monetary success, but it could be part of that, but success as a spouse, success as a partner, as a parent, as a friend,
Mm-hmm.
has to do with self-worth and self-confidence.
Love it.
And people who are confident are the most attractive people in the world. And they're the ones who are fun to do business with, fun to be friends with. Not to
Yes.
say that we don't all struggle. The most
Right.
confident of us do. But so tell me about how you feel confidence plays into this empowerment, like through your
Yeah.
community.
It's a great point. So Tony Robbins has a quote, and I pretty much wake up with it every day. And he says, the ultimate failure in life is success without fulfillment, right? If we look at, you can have, like you said, right? You can have all the money in the world and still be empty, right? And it's how to find that balance of what is success, define success. What does it mean to me? And surround yourself with people that define it the same, right? Yes, would I love to have millions and millions and millions of dollars, but what would I do with that? What would it make me feel fulfilled in life to make sure that I'm in the right state of mind? So with the empowerment community, it's really taking women from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different walks of life, anything, right? And saying, how do you define success? What would be a successful life to you? What would be a successful life this week? And break it down day by day. And I basically have 3 actionable items each day that I check off, because a lot of people, again, overachievers and successful people, are very hard on themselves. And let me rephrase that. Everyone is hard on themselves, right? So if
Right.
you give yourself more joy and kind of make sure that it's okay, we're going to take it day by day and really live in the present, it's going to affect your future traumatically. And I say traumatically because it's going to have the ups, the downs, the negatives, the positives. And I always look at trauma as in, okay, is trauma actually defined as a negative way, or is trauma defined as it was negative, but we'll turn it into a positive? And so I look at the different perceptions of words we can really play into.
So tell me about the community itself. So, and how
Yeah.
the business works. So if I
Yeah.
if I am a lady, I'm not, but but if I am who wants to join the community, what do I do, and what are some of the things that I can expect to see as a member
Yeah.
of this community?
It's a great question. So it's a subscription model. It's $1.99. So it's less than a cup of coffee a month. You go to beautifullyempowered.com and you register. And it is an app on your phone, just like Facebook, just like Instagram, etc. And in the app is going to be an open forum. It really is set up like a Facebook. And in our group, Beautifully Empowered, our platform, we have sub communities, which are called circles. And why we call them circles is because, again, you're always learning, right? You're always continuing to grow, and it's almost like a hamster wheel. But how do you shift that hamster wheel? So we have circles, a Poshmark circle, because again, I have a passion for reselling. I think that it's a great market for any women to get into, to resell clothes and to recycle, right? We have circles for moms. We have circles for ladies who are interested in sports. We have a circle that is talking about a book club. We have a circle, so there's different, in our community is all for women, right? And there's a lot of communities out there that are just very segregate it into one specific group. I didn't want to segregate anyone. I want all women to join and really find their niche. You can maybe find your next business partner. You can maybe find your next mom fun squad, right? You can really find different types of women from 18 all the way up to 67. I know we have a 67-year-old in there. So, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to really learn, right? Like you said, you're watching your 4-year-old grow up in front of your eyes, and it's nice to see, okay, who do I want to learn from today? What is your perception? So it's really targeted to all women instead of just having a niche of a group. And right now we have a heavy population in the Chicagoland suburbs as well as Chicago. But we've seen a lot of hubs right now. Indianapolis is growing, Columbus is growing, Denver is growing, and the LA County area is growing in our community. So we have, again, heavily populated in Chicago and the Chicagoland suburbs, but we're growing pretty fast.
That's amazing. So, and I love, just as you're sharing this, there's just the things that are little nuggets that are kind of hitting my brain, so I look at my wife, who, is an accomplished woman in her career, as a mother, as a wife. And I see the lack of time, the pressure to get everything done. And, everybody has different philosophies on this, right? I view the pressures on men and women as different, and they each have their own, but women have a unique set of influences and pressures that have just developed in our society. And certainly maybe this is different around the world, but certainly in American culture, it's just different. And so the fact that you have a place where women can go to be a part of this kind of community, to me, is amazing. And the timing couldn't be better, I think, because I see how over this last year, how hard it was on everybody. But I look at my wife, who's now been home on maternity leave, and it's so hard to not have that connection.
Right.
And so there's a real craving for connection, and online connection is just as legitimate, as in-person connection. And then I love the idea that you probably will be seeing, as pandemic starts to release a little bit here, these people then maybe getting together in person and having lunch or doing picnics or whatever.
Yeah, it's just that, like, again, it's a beautiful thing, right? Like you said, the virtual relationships and what we're causing, the synergies, it's beautiful to see. And yeah, as we're opening up in a safe way, we're starting to see beauties, and we call each other beauties, right? And I think that it's a beautiful word. And it's, any person can be beautiful, but we call each other the beauties. And we have a direct messaging system in the platform as well, just like Facebook Messenger. And we're seeing beauties meet up and, kind of learn about each other. Again, like I said, mom dates, children dates at the park, right? We're seeing them all come together. And the whole point of it is, yes, there is virtual fatigue right now, right? A lot of virtual events, you're seeing a huge decline as people are just over it. They're sick of it, right? They want that connection back. And so we're having, there is a large scale event coming in August here in the suburbs. We're going to be hosting a huge conference.
Awesome.
Now I say huge as obviously going through the restrictions here in the pandemic opening up, but we're hosting it in Rosemont. Couldn't be more excited to get a bunch of beauties together to learn about each other, right? And it's really cool to see, just if someone's going, like I said, a lunch date, is it a movie night, is it a game night, and seeing people that have never met each other already become, when they look at each other and actually give them a hug, and it's like, you're real. And I'm like, yeah, real. So it's really cool to see.
That's awesome. So we'll definitely get the details from you about the conference. And so then tell me a little bit more about some of the offerings for women who become, members of the platform. I know you have courses, so tell me a little bit about those.
We do. So typically right now we have it structured where we have one big speaker a month, and I try to bring in very, very valuable speakers to listen. So last month we had a speaker that grew up here in Naperville as well. She is a close friend of mine, has been for years, Dr. Frances Alberholden, and she actually is the national expert of women in jail suicide. And so she came in
Wow.
to talk about active self-care. How do you take care of yourself? What does it mean? Is it going to a spa day? No, yeah, it's our passive self-care, but it's really active as self-development courses and going to therapy or counseling, or and we kind of had the stigma that, oh, therapy, why are you going to therapy? Are you okay? Right? Is something wrong with you? When therapy is just beautiful, right? And we have this stereotype on it. We're going to change the narrative. So I have developed courses. So I have right now 3 available self-development courses on there. One is my signature course, that's called Becoming Bold, Becoming True, Becoming All of You, and really understanding your self-worth. There's Liftoff 101, which really is how to live out your purpose. And I have also Accelerate Your Purpose, which is taking my purpose I've just established in Liftoff 101 and really pushing it to the next level. So you'll be seeing more and more courses be developed in my free time, is what I like to do. And it's all about, just, again, I'm no therapist. I didn't go to school to become a therapist. I work in HR. And so it's really just living by my experiences and how I've became the authentic, what I call a badass self, and really pushed myself to the next limit. So it's very exciting.
That's amazing. No, that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot to share, and I love that you're bringing in these outside resources as well. That's like, to me, that's a huge value for someone if they wanted to be a member of the platform, to be able
Yeah.
to have these educational opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. And then you're also doing partnerships, right, with different businesses, so that
Hmm.
the members can get discounted
Yeah.
merchandise and things like that, right?
Yeah, we've had some big corporations come in that are working on the contract now. But yeah, I mean, so any organization, whether you're a one-person organization to if you have thousands of employees, right? It's always just a safe space to have women. Companies, I belong to a company. I work for a beautiful organization that is a mega house in the tech world. But, it's always great to have an outside vendor help you out with something like this, right? It's always great to meet other people that, again, like you say, just want to have conversations, learn. Some people just want to be listened to or feel seen and heard. So any corporation, any small business, anyone can reach out. And obviously we have discounted rates from $1.99 to different levels of cents. It could be even $1, right? It just depends on obviously the size and the amount of work. But the one thing is that a lot of companies have reached out to become partners with us. But if our values don't align with their values, it's not a great partnership. So as long as you have the same mindset and the same values as we do here at Beautifully Empowered, it's a golden egg.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So then the big question is, what's next? So you
Yeah.
mentioned the conference coming up, and I don't want you to give away all your
Yeah.
secrets, but
Secrets.
tell me how you see, the business growing and the community growing over the next few years.
Yeah. So my vision is really to have like established communities in specific locations where, we have actually, it's almost like, I guess you could quantify it as like a women's club. Like, let's say it's the Women's Club of Naperville, right? I want to have basically a community lead that leads all events to really have people feel empowered to do it themselves, right? If I'm the one dictating all of it, it's not that fun, right? Like, who's this Bree girl? What is she doing? But I see it really becoming like almost like chapters, right? Community chapters and leads in specific cities where we'll have not only just city leads, but then take it nationwide where it has established beauties in every city. So that's really our 2-year plan, which is crazy to think that that's going to happen in 2 years. But I'm big into the affirmations and really bringing fruitions to life. That's our goal, to continue that platform. We utilize a platform for the app right now. So one day I hope we'll also have our own app. And won't have to use a vendor. So it's on the horizon. It's being speaking into existence. So that's really the future of Beautifully Empowered and continuing to spread the word.
Well, I love your ambition. I love your
Yes.
confidence. I love your authenticity. I'm so grateful that you came on to share with us about Beautifully Empowered and about the amazing community that you're building. Please tell our listeners and viewers where they can find Beautifully Empowered Community, and then where they can find you on social media as well.
Yeah. So Beautifully Empowered, I mean, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Beautifully Empowered is just spelled a little bit different. We capitalize in empowered, we capitalize the her. So you're like, what? So we actually spell empowered EMPO, what is it? WHERED. So we have that heard. So it's beautifullyempowered.com as well as where you can sign up too. So we have different avenues. And myself is just Bree Wysocki, Bree_Wysocki on Instagram, as well as Facebook, TikTok. I'm on them all except Snapchat. I'm not a fan. So myself.
Snapchat's for the teens, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm not about that creepy send a picture, evaluate
Exactly.
life. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, I mean, it's great. And again, I pressure people, and I say it's terrible to pressure people, but I pressure people at any age over 25 to get on the TikTok, to learn and really learn about yourself. There's a huge market out there really to capitalize on. So it's a fun market. And again, I just want everyone to be authentic to themselves and make sure that people accept them for who they are, not for their wealth status or what they look like, etc.
100% agree. Thank you so much for
You're
sharing.
so welcome.
Yeah, it's been great. For the viewers and listeners, absolutely go check out beautifullyempowered.com. Connect with Bree, connect with the ladies of the community. I'm so excited to see how this is going to grow. So I'd love to check back in with you down the line and see where things are at, a year from now. So
yes, let's do it.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for joining us. If for viewers and listeners, if you're not already subscribers, make sure to follow at youtube.com/Chris Grano, or you can also just go to sweethomeschicagoland.com, and make sure to follow us on all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And remember, when you're thinking about the great city of Chicago, don't forget to think outside the city limits.